The views expressed on this program are those of the producers and individuals appearing on this program and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Sun Prairie Media Center staff, its video service providers, or the staff and elected officials of the City of Sun Prairie.
Hello everyone, welcome into Marc Madness Sports on this Monday evening. I'm Marc Carstens, the host of Marc Madness Sports, joined today by Madison College Wolfpack head basketball coach Jason Roscoe. Jason, how are you this evening? And
doing well,
happy to have you here at the Sun Prairie Public Library talking with me on my sports show, Marc Madness Sports.
Glad to be here. Thank you for the opportunity, Mark.
Yes, I like this quiet room and a nice
Absolutely.
little spacious area here for us to talk some basketball together.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it, talking about the basketball season for your team so far. So your team's 15-3 on the season. You're ranked number 21 in the country in NJCAA, NCAA Division II. And maybe to explain to the listeners, what does that mean? It's a National Junior College Association for college basketball, the Division II level. What do you think has contributed most to your team's success this season, and where do you see your team hopefully going from here? I mean, obviously it's a nice start at 15-3 and
Right.
being 21 ranked in the country, and getting ready for probably hopefully a nice long playoff run for your team.
Absolutely. No, I think it starts with just the commitment. We made some drastic changes in terms of just our recruiting class and the type of guys that we, wanted to bring in that met the needs of our program, both on and off the court. And so we were able to successfully do that. And although they're, a young group of, they're young, but they're talented, they're extremely coachable, and they're selfless. They play for each other. They're not worried about any statistical stats, as far as individual. It's, all about the team. It's all about the team.
Well, that's awesome, Jason. Well, thanks for sharing. And you have 9 freshmen on your team, so you have a really young roster. You also have 3 sophomores on your team. So what is that like, just having a bunch of underclassmen and really not having any juniors, seniors on your team? Because that's kind of unusual for a lot of basketball teams, is not having that upperclassman leadership.
Yeah, I mean, for us, we've been really intentional, specifically, with recruiting guys, who are at the high school level, guys who can come in and, contribute, right away. And, again, it's just about, finding guys who are hard workers, guys who are team players, guys who come from winning programs, guys who are extremely coachable, and also guys who want to obtain, their associate's degree, and then, hopefully have the opportunity to move on to a 4-year college or, or university after, Madison College. And so, again, it's, we have a couple sophomores, 3 sophomores to be exact, and their leadership and, what they've done in terms of, putting in the time, after practice, and just demonstrated what it takes to win at a high level, particularly in this region, is something that, they've done a great job of, displaying those leadership characteristics, and it's trickled down into our younger group of guys.
And maybe talk about a few players that have been kind of leaders for your team so far. So Cullen Rawls has had a really nice season. He's your leading scorer at 14 points per game. And then Carson McCormick's had a really nice season for you as well, 13.4 points per game. Then you also have J.P. Pleasant, who's also in double figures at 12.6 points per game. And then George Wiley the fourth at 10.4 points per game. So what have those 4 guys in particular brought to your team? I mean, obviously those are your 4 key main contributors on your roster.
Yeah, I mean, in the case of Colin Rawls, I mean, he's a older player, sophomore, who played at Western Tech, and their program actually shut down last year, and we were successful in recruiting his younger brother, who's a freshman, on the team, Keegan, and Colin has come in, and from the very beginning, he's just done everything we've asked him to, gone above and beyond again, to be a leader. He's put in the time, on the court. Academically, he's a very, very high academic student, and leads in that way as well. And J.P. Pleasant is one of our returning sophomores, who's done a tremendous job of, getting in shape, number one. I mean, if you were to see him last year versus this year, just from where he's at, in terms of his physicality and his physical appearance, let alone the improvements that he's done, that he's been able to make, on the court, and it's paid off. Both Carson and George are, freshmen. In George's case, George actually took a gap year. He was class of 2023, sat out last year, and there's a connection that I have to where he's from in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, and the rest is history. Carson, a local kid, Janesville, can really, shoot the ball, and he's been able to do that pretty consistently. And we have a whole plethora of guys, man, that we can, we go 10 to 12 deep, on our team at any given night. Any one of our guys are capable of stepping up and being a leading scorer and just really making a great contribution. So
it's nice having 12 guys that can contribute on a roster. It's really nice. Cullen Rawls, he's from local here as well. He's from Fall River.
Correct.
Yep. And I know, as you mentioned, Carson McCormick, pretty local, Janesville Craig,
Absolutely.
who I've gotten to see a couple times this year, their high school basketball program. And well, they have a kid this year that's a big, tall kid, Judson Henkel. I'm sure you've maybe seen some of him.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to watch him play in the summer. AAU, definitely a big, strong kid. I'm not sure if we have an opportunity here at Madison to, get a kid of his caliber, but you never know.
Yeah, but he's a talented kid for sure, Judson Henkel, and so I've gotten to see him for Janesville Craig, and they have a couple other kids that are definitely really talented on their team this year again. So that's just a good program. I feel like they have a lot of good kids over there. J.P. Pleasant, well, he's not local, but he's really done a nice job for your team.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
From Texas, but
yeah. He's J.P. He's like, I mean, all these guys are like sons to me. But J.P. and I, we have a really strong bond and strong relationship that has formed throughout his time here. And he's just a yes sir, no sir kid. And if you know J.P. and you know his story, what he's been able to do and overcome speaks volumes to his perseverance, his resiliency, and just his commitment to work hard and want to be better for himself and provide for his family. And because of his hard work, he'll be graduating here in May, and he'll have some opportunities to go on and earn a scholarship after Madison College.
That's awesome. Well, congrats to J.P. Pleasant for all he's done for your program. And I want to talk about Cullen Rawls and maybe his defensive numbers, because I looked at some of his defensive statistics, really good, especially steals. I think he has about 33 steals, I think I saw in the season. Maybe just what has made him so strong at the defensive end, and has he really improved from, because you said he's a sophomore this year, have you really seen a jump in his defensive abilities from freshman to sophomore year?
I mean, credit goes to our assistant, my assistant coach Roy Boone, who's really taken the defense, by his horns, and that's one of the things I kind of, asked him to do, and challenge him in that regards. And he's done a really a great job of working and teaching the fundamentals of what it takes to be a really sound defensive basketball player, and he's done a great job. And these guys have bought in. I mean, I would say 80% of our practice, 75-80% is defense. We're working, a lot on our defensive schemes, and just building these guys up to where they feel comfortable, and being able to stop the man that's in front of them, and being able to talk and communicate is all important. And in Cullen's case, I mean, he has a high IQ that he's able to that helps him offensively, and defensively, and he does a good job of positioning himself to be able to play the passing lanes and those sorts of things. And it's something that we continue to work with as a team on and try to, get better, because it is true defense does win championships.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And maybe talking more about defense, is there kind of specific, like, do you like to kind of stick to man-to-man type of defense, or do you sometimes, like, depending on the opponent, maybe you look at it and say, oh, maybe a 2-3 zone here might be the right option, or a 3-2 zone, or a box and one, for certain players?
I mean, a lot of it depends on the scout and, personnel and who our opponents are, who our opponent is at that particular time. But generally speaking, we typically, try to play a lot of man-to-man and get after it. We'll mix up our presses, some full court man, some zone presses, try to get teams to utilize the shot clock, and, that's less time that they have to run to get into any offensive sets, and those sorts of things. But, we'll mix in the zone from time to time, maybe after a timeout, or again, just all kind of based on personnel. But we definitely, want to be able to be in a position where we can guard teams 94 feet and just kind of make things chaotic and be able to utilize our defense to, get, obtain easy buckets, in transition, and again, just continue to get after teams and kind of slowly but surely wear them down on the defensive end.
Because I know, like, when I've watched some games this season, I've seen some teams, when they see that the ball handlers are kind of struggling in the half court, you full court press them, and sometimes that can really, some teams can't handle that full court press very well, and you can really get an advantage by, pressing from full court.
Yeah, we definitely try to see, we look at those things within the scout. If individual is not as a, stronger, ball handler or a shooter, depending on the scout, we will make the, necessary adjustments and, guard them accordingly, and, basically try to be in a position where we can take away their strengths, and utilize our strengths on the defensive end to capitalize again on some of their, our opponent's weaknesses.
Yeah, no, for sure. Maybe I want to talk to you about free throw shooting a little bit. Is there any kind of things you do in practice with that, or making sure the fundamentals with free throw shooting are in a good spot?
Typically, we have a free throw ladder that we try to keep up with, and really make it competitive in terms of our free throw shooting. That is one area of deficiency this year. Although we have a statistically a really good shooting team from beyond the arc and those sorts of things, it hasn't translated the way we want to in terms of our free throw shooting. I think right now we're still a little under 70%, which as a team we want to be at 73% or higher. So that's something we're constantly drilling and working on, and hopefully we can continue to make improvements, because free throws do can win and lose basketball games, especially down the stretch, or when you're trying to either seal a game or get back into a game. If we're in a double bonus and missing those front ends of a double bonus or a front end of a 1-and-1, it's extremely difficult to get back into games, let alone be able to win those types of close games. So yeah, free throws are definitely a work in progress for us.
Yeah, because I know I've watched some of the Sun Prairie High School games this year, and I've been like, the free throw shooting in a couple of the games has cost both the Wolves and the Cardinals some games, and I look back at that, it's like there's definitely importance to the free throw shooting for sure.
Absolutely.
And another thing I want to talk to you about at the high school level that I've been seeing is I haven't seen a lot of boxing out like the way I used to see it with rebounding. Yeah. I'm curious why maybe is that it's just kind of a lost thing in high school sports, as I don't see it as much as I used to.
The game has changed in terms of what perhaps what players value, perhaps what some coaches and what some programs value. Obviously just the dynamics of the three-point shot, and you got guys who want to shoot 40 feet from beyond the arc, and 100 different combo moves, and all those sorts of things. And I think there is some lost art in terms of just like we're saying, the fundamentals of boxing out, and our terminology is find, hit, get, so finding that man hitting them with the form, turning and actually going to get the ball, and again, that's still a work in progress. I mean, we were just watching film here earlier today, and, it's just, getting guys to understand, like, all right, you have them boxed out, you're in good position. Now you see that ball, you got to go and get it. You can't be a spectator, can't stand and watch, because oftentimes when you get that rebound, at least for us in our system, we got multiple guys that can handle the ball. And so at any given time, we have a guy like JP Pleasant, and those types of guys who can, athletic enough and skilled enough to bring the ball up the court. So get that rebound out the net, or on a miss and get it out and go and try to get, rim run and, try to get some easy buckets in transition. So rebounding is key. We kind of, work on that every day and, emphasize that, the importance, of that, because there's times in which we have games in which we're not the biggest team, and, so those small fundamental things, being sound fundamentally, matters.
Yeah, because I've looked at some games from Sunbury East and Sunbury West for the boys varsity in high school, and I'm thinking, like, gosh, if they had boxed out more, worked more on some of those fundamentals, it could have really helped them in a couple games. And I just kind of, I don't know if high school coaches now are looking at things more analytically and like just seeing like we have kids that are just such good shooters, such strong offensive players where we're, or we want to get out and transition so quickly that sometimes, the teams aren't just valuing that hard box out like they used to. I don't know. It's just things that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, you definitely see that. Again, it's, some of the really good defensive teams though at every level, at least in my opinion, that's one of the things that they they do really really well. I know for me, one of the teams I typically watch is Michigan State. Huge Coach Izzo fan, and defensively and rebounding, that's one of the things that he constantly preaches, along with Coach Calvin Sampson at Houston. Those guys preach defense, they preach rebounding, and that's why they're typically always one of the top two, in the top five in terms of statistically, defense and, rebounding, and that's something that those guys, and the guys in their program, they know if you don't defend, you don't rebound, it's going to be hard to see the court. So.
Yeah, and that's what I really like about at Wisconsin too with Greg Gard, like what he does with,
absolutely,
defensive drills, and
absolutely,
because I think Greg Gard does a fantastic job too with coaching and making sure that the Badgers are very good at the fundamentals. But maybe preview some of the games coming up this week. So you have one game against Harper College tomorrow night. Yep, tomorrow night against Harper College at home, so at Madison College at the home gymnasium. H. Douglas Henstein Gymnasium. Or Redstein, excuse me, Gymnasium, yep. And then another game at home on Saturday against Carl Sandburg College.
Yep. So ironically enough, two teams that will play us zone primarily, and so we spent a lot of time this evening working on our zone offenses, and just kind of where we need to be, and just the areas in terms of weakness within their within their zones, and so I think we'll be ready to go. Harper's a very talented team, tremendous amount of size, and so hopefully we'll be able to knock some shots down early, make it a full court transition game for them, and not allow them to set up in that zone when possible. And the same thing for Saturday. Carl Sandburg, another well-coached team. We expect a lot of zone, and they're a very well-coached team, and both teams kind of run their stuff. They don't change to or go off the script. Harper or Carl Sandburg. But I feel pretty confident in the task at hand, which is Harper first, and hopefully we'll come out and be ready to go, get off to a great start, and come out with the victory.
And Coach Jason, do you usually try to, maybe against the zone, I know a lot of teams like to go, when you're smaller and you face a team with a zone, you want to go up tempo, you want to kind of speed up the pace of the game a little bit. Is that kind of maybe what you're thinking of doing on both Tuesday and Saturday?
Getting those rebounds and getting out, and not allowing them to set up the zone, and if they are able to set up the zone, again, it's just, moving the ball with the purpose, finding the creases within the zone and not, sometimes, with that zone, they want you to just stand around and either jack up shots or pass the ball around the perimeter. So, just guys moving and, finding the creases within the zone, moving the ball, using shot fakes, penetrating the gap, shooters having their hands ready, and just really not settling, for, just jacking up, 3-point shots, really just, shot fake, play off 2 feet, get to the basket, and constantly, again, just move that ball and play unselfish.
And sometimes I've seen what sometimes you can really do against zones is like if you have some players that are really good at back cut, like back cutting, like right by the the sideline, kind of right, and then just go attack the basket hard.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that can really work against the zone.
That short corner, just working that short corner, and it also helps too when you are playing against the zone and you actually do have guys that can knock down shots, which I do believe we have. This year we have multiple guys that can shoot the ball, and so teams having to pick their poison. If they want to leave us open and allow us to shoot, I feel confident in the multiple guys that we have that can knock down that outside shot. And once that's flowing, now they have to our opponents have to make a decision. Do I continue to stay in this zone, or do I now come out and guard these guys man now, which opens up the floodgates for what we're able to do offensively.
So then just always getting someone in the middle involved, and then you can kick it out to the corners.
Absolutely.
And that's really I know definitely obviously strategies against the zone.
So you got to have against the zone. It also helps too when you have players out there who have a high IQ and just not out there being robotic and mechanical in terms of whatever we're doing, offensively versus the zone, and just being able to, use their natural instinct and God-given ability.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing. Maybe share kind of, you've had some really good players that have come through your program. You've gotten to coach 3 all-conference players, 3 all-region recipients, and then 1 NJCAA All-American as well at your time at Madison College over a 3-year span. What has it been like coaching some of these players and really getting
been, that first group, my first year, I inherited, from the previous coach, and we did a great job of laying the foundation, as well as all the other coaches before. I'd come along, and those guys I've been blessed to have the opportunity to coach. They were guys who just bought in. They believed in. Keith Hoffman, who was at, from Stevens Point, and this is a true story. With Keith, when we were in the preseason, his sophomore year, he was, I told him, I'm going to continue to push you till you think you can't go any farther. And, I said, but if you trust the process, you'll become an All-American. And he was able to, he bought in and allowed himself to be pushed and, be pushed to the maximum. And, he was an All-American and, had a really, really great career for us, and, went on to the University of West Florida, and then, went on to, finish back up his career at UW Stevens Point. So, and then the other guys, Nick Feller and Deontay Luster, those guys have, they were all, great players for, here in just my short period of time at Madison College. So I'm blessed and, thankful, and, hopefully with this group this year, again, we'll continue to have those types of caliber players, and, again, be able to go on and, watch them continue on their careers after Madison College.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Maybe anything you want to share about, like kind of your practices, maybe like length of practices you kind of like to set schedules for, or maybe like specific drills you like to get within
before,
practices?
Preseason, we go about 1 hour, 45 minutes or so in the preseason. And then once we get into the thick of our season like we are now, about 1.5 hours. Just because, I mean, typically, you know, like this second half of the semester, we're playing 3 games a week. So, I mean, it's game, prepare for our next opponent, scout report, game, you know, and it's the same, you know, cycle. So it's really just continuing to, you know, work on those fine, you know, details with, you know, with our team and just make sure that we're continuing to, you know, lock in and stay focused. So, I mean, our practices are still intense. That's one of the things our guys will tell you. I mean, we practice hard. I mean, we push these guys. You know, we push them. We don't, you know, our thought process is, you know, we're not going to allow them to settle for being anything, for being mediocre, you know, at anything, both on and off the court. And, you know, if they allow us to push them, which they've had, you know, they'll reap the benefits, you know, of that. So, I mean, a lot of what we do in terms of our drills is, you know, a lot of it, you know, small, short-sided games and, you know, 3-on-3, 4-on-4, but everything we do is competitive. There's a point system. You know, there's a winner and loser. You know, loser team has consequences, and that varies, you know, in terms of what those consequences are. So, a lot of what we do drill-wise is all based around our concepts and schemes defensively, as well as a lot of what we do offensively is built around, you know, our style of play and the different things we like to do offensively. But regardless of the drill, we are always competing. Again, it's a winner, and there's a loser. So.
Yeah. And how many games do you have remaining on the season? Because I know you're 18 games in right now.
Yep. So we have 10 more.
10 more in the regular season?
28
okay.
Regular season game, and then from there, hopefully, you know, we can position ourselves where we're able to host at least one region playoff game, and then the winners of that region playoff game will go to the semifinals at a neutral site. Semifinals and finals are being held at Rock Valley College in Rockford, Illinois. So.
Yeah, that's not too far away. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, so pretty nice and close. And
yeah.
Maybe anything you want to share about some like 3-point shooters on your team? Do you have any players on your team that just have like really impressed you this season that are just knocking down that outside shot?
I mean, obviously we have, you know, Carson McCormick who, you know, who can really shoot the 3. We have Caden Coppage. I mean, we have Colin Rawls, Keegan Rawls, Caden Coppage. I mean, we have multiple guards that can, you know, all of our guards can shoot the ball. Javon Campbell. We have, I mean, plethora of shooters. I mean, that's the nice thing about this team. I mean, at any given time, you know, guys can really, multiple guys who can step up and hit shots. I mean, our bigs, JP Pleasant, you know, can really shoot. Ryan Jones, who's on the wing for us, Theo Schofield. All those guys have the capability of knocking down that outside shot, which is, again, that's a luxury, you know, that we have. Like, I don't feel like we just have, you know, one guy that can, you know, shoot the ball. We have multiple guys that can, you know, shoot the outside shot and, you know, knock it down on a consistent basis. So, and that's one of the things we work on. I mean, guys stay after practice and, you know, they're getting up extra shots and, you know, they're reaping the benefits from that. And I mean, you know, as a team, I think overall I want to say we're a little over 40% from the 3 as a team, which if you're, you know, over 40% or around that 40% mark, you can shoot. You know,
yeah.
you can shoot the ball. So we're, you know, very thankful. It's just getting guys again to not be satisfied and continue to, you know, get in the gym and, you know, get up those extra reps. You know, and I think it's important to, at any level, you know, with those reps, to make sure that those are game-like reps, you know, because a lot of times guys go in the gym, they just loaf around and, you know, there's no real purpose, you know, so having a purpose, you know, when you go into the gym in terms of whatever it is you're working on in terms of your game is just making sure that you go in with a purpose, with a plan, you know, for the time that you're in there, you know, give it all that you have.
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that. Maybe anything else you want to share about the Madison College men's basketball team, maybe anything, you know, going forward that, you know, you're hoping to see from your team over these last 10 regular season games?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, we're 18 games into the season and, you know, 15-3 or whatever the case is. But again, we've been, humbled for from the start, and it's just about the guys and the coaching staff, the players on the team who just continue to believe and who continue to put in the hard work, every day, and who just come in the gym and who want to get better. And so we're thankful and blessed for the opportunity to be a nationally ranked team, and we understand what comes along with that. And to be honest, even if Madison College wasn't ranked, we've always, at least in my time here, we've always gotten every team's best effort when they when we compete against them. But definitely the exposure has been nice, and obviously being a smaller school here in Madison, when you do have UW, and sometimes there's an oversight, and all the attention is given to University of Wisconsin, and rightfully so. But we have been able to have some success here, so it's just great to have that, and for these guys who put in the time and who continue to put in the time. So I'm just excited for them and the opportunity that still lies ahead. And like I've been telling them, I don't. Although we're 15-3, we haven't peaked just yet. And so I think we're slowly starting to figure things out, and hopefully we can peak in at the right time as we get wind down to the tougher part of our our region schedule, and as we plan to make this playoff run.
Yeah, I hope your team can peak even higher and continue this great run. I mean, 15-3's been great, but maybe go undefeated the rest of the way, and that'd be a great feeling to be 25-3 at the end of the regular season. So you got to wait and see what happens, but it's nice having 3 college teams here in the Madison area, because you also got Madison Edgewood, and you got UW-Madison, and then you got the Madison College Wolfpack. So it's nice having 3 college programs in the Madison area, so that people can follow and watch. I want to actually talk to you about being an athlete back in college. So I know you were an athlete yourself back in your days back in college. 3-sport athlete. You played basketball, football, and track and field at Division II NCAA College Mansfield University in Mansfield, Pennsylvania. Maybe share some of that experience from that.
Yeah, for sure. So, I was fortunate. My high school coach my sophomore year, Vince Alexander, was a great mentor, a great friend of mine till this day. Left to become the assistant coach at Mansfield University, and once my senior year came around, I had some options to go to Division I route, in particular for football, but I wanted to go to a place, number one, where I was going to be cared for and valued, and also have an opportunity where I could play multiple sports. And Coach Alexander said I would have the opportunity to do that. And so what ended up happening is myself and 6 of my high school teammates, we all end up going to the same college, Mansfield University. And what I'm proud of most is that we were all able to obtain our degrees. Myself, along with some of my other teammates, we were first generation college student. And I know for me, growing up, single parent home, and I never thought college was a viable option in terms of obtaining my bachelor's degree, and what that looked like. And long story short, was able to go on to obtain my master's degrees and graduate certificates, and the rest is history. And so being able to be a student athlete and share my experiences and what it takes, the perseverance and the challenges, because by no means was it easy. There were points in time where I thought it was like, man, there's no way I can continue at least to play 3 sports and try to balance personal life and friendships and the commitment of practices and games. But God made a way. I remained faithful and trusted Him, and again, I had a wonderful experience, and I can't speak enough to the support that was provided to me and my teammates in terms of the support that we had even as athletes. from our academic advisors and study halls, and a lot of the same things we have in place now at Madison that some student athletes don't necessarily understand or see as value or see as a benefit. For me, had it not been for those study halls and for my academic advisor just constantly, checking up and making sure I was kind of going to class and doing my work and knew where the resources are, and having a coach like Coach Alexander and his amazing assistance that he's had during that time, during my time there, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you.
That's really cool. Well, thanks for sharing. Maybe I want to get into the fun questions segment here and close out with that. So, growing up in Pennsylvania, I'm thinking you probably were a Philadelphia 76ers fan, at least to some extent. I'm guessing for basketball. Was that your favorite team growing up or not?
No, I wasn't a Sixers fan. I was a huge AI fan.
Okay.
Allen Iverson was definitely the man. I mean, just his story too, man, is just so inspirational. I mean, he was a trendsetter in terms of a lot of what you see now in terms of the NBA and but Allen Iverson was a hell of a basketball player. And I think sometimes that gets overlooked by some of his off the court experiences that he had. But on the court, in between those lines, I mean, he was just a flat out dog. So, but NBA wise, definitely wasn't necessarily a Sixers fan, but huge AI fan. I am a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. So that is my is my team. When you talk about the Eagles, but Sixers, not so much. I've never really been a Sixers fan in terms of the NBA. It was more of just following, like some of the really more so players than than actual teams.
No, makes sense. And maybe for the 76ers, do you like Joel Embiid a little bit?
Yeah,
Embiid,
Embiid, I enjoy Embiid. He just has a hard time, staying healthy. But when he's healthy, he is one of the, dominant, players in the NBA, regardless of, position. I mean, he's so, versatile. And you have Tyrese Maxey, who's tough. I mean, Sixers, they have some.
Paul George.
They have some talent. I'm just not sure if they have enough talent to, make it to the finals or whatever the case is. So we'll see.
But Jason, I'm a big Milwaukee Bucks fan, so I'm happy about what I've seen from Giannis for sure. I think he's going to be back in that MVP conversation, and Damian Lillard's really looked good lately for the Bucks too. So I love those two. Two really good players.
Super talented team. Looks like Doc Rivers is starting to slowly find his way around, and being able to coach those guys up, and hopefully the Bucks can make a run and kind of get back to championship pedigree. So.
And I'm happy that Chris Middleton's getting healthier again. Yeah. So I mean, he's had a lot of injuries battling this year, but I really like Chris Middleton. When he's healthy, he's a really good basketball player. So maybe who's your favorite basketball player in the NBA right now? If you had to pick one in the whole NBA.
Right now, I would say it would be a toss-up between Jokic and SGA. Gilgeous Alexander is tough for OKC. I mean, he's a complete player. And Jokic has been pretty dominant. I think his passing ability, his basketball, IQ is just off the chart. So right now, I would say those two are kind of the two guys who stand out to me in terms of the two of the top NBA players, and then you throw in Ant Edwards, another top player. You got Brunson. There's a lot of talented guys in the NBA, but those two or at least in my opinion, those two kind of stand out at the top. So.
Yeah, for me, I would say Giannis for sure, Jokic, and probably Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Those are probably my three favorite in the NBA right now. I really like those.
Giannis is Giannis. I mean, he's tough. I always appreciate guys like Giannis who I know in the previous, past summer, I think it was, he's been reaching out some of the older guys, the vets like Kevin Garnett and some of those other players to help, expand his game. And I think that, you have to be very humble, to be in a position to even ask, Kevin Garnett or some of these other guys on, Hakeem or those folks about, just getting some more advice and, really just kind of help expanding their game. So I think it can only, help, those individuals. And you got guys like Duncan and helping Wimby and, all those sorts of things. I think is just, it's good for the game and, it's good for those young players, because I don't think you necessarily see or have guys with that type of, veteran, leadership.
Yes.
So.
And a couple other players I really respect in the NBA are LeBron James and Stephen Curry. Those two, I have a lot of respect for both of those.
Sure. Yeah, I'm a huge LeBron fan, and LeBron, way takes care of his body and just what he's been able to do. I think there's he has his ways, but I don't think we'll ever see another LeBron, and I think his scoring record is, I don't think that will ever be broken. At this rate, I think he'll continue to play a couple more years. And what Steph has done, I mean, he's definitely changed the game, and for some of these guys, he's gave these false perceptions of themselves, though, in terms of their shooting abilities and what they think they can do, not understanding the work and the time that Steph Curry and all these NBA players to what they've put in. Everyone sees the finished product, but they don't see the time and the training that they put in to get to the level of where they're at. Hence they're NBA players, and will go down as some of the, two of the all-time greats.
And then, I have a lot of respect for some of the players in the women's game right now, like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and AJ Wilson. Those three, I have a lot of respect for them too. And
absolutely.
They're able to accomplish.
Yeah, they can play. Got a lot of respect for the where the women's game is gone, and where it's headed. I think with Clark and Reese and those individuals. I mean, it's just great. It's just great for so many ways for the women's game of basketball, and what Coach Stelly has been able to do at South Carolina, and just what she's been able to do for women's basketball, and along with the other great coaches on the women's side. And so hopefully that game, their game will continue to gain the exposure and be able to get the the respect and just do that they deserve as well.
Yeah, viewership numbers. I hope they are able to get a lot of viewership because they deserve it.
Absolutely.
They're really good players. So maybe favorite sports movie of all time. This is a tough one.
Favorite sports movie. What comes to mind? Probably Blue Chips and the Program.
Okay.
Those two sport movies kind of come to mind as for at least for me and the type of kind of sports movies I like. I also like Above the Rim. That was a classic movie. Coach Carter. You can't really go wrong with that. But those are the few that kind of stand out to me. So.
Remember the Titans. I love that one.
Absolutely.
That's one of my. That's probably right up there with my favorites. And I also really like Moneyball too, with Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill. That's a good one too. Those are a couple that I really like. But maybe favorite food to eat on a basketball game day.
Favorite food to eat on a basketball game day. Oh man, favorite food to eat on a basketball game day. Oh man, let's see. Probably. Off the top of my head, probably just some Chick-fil-A, man. Just keep it simple, man. If I'm on a run or have to grab a meal, typically it'll be like some Chick-fil-A or something. Obviously, it's not the most healthy or most ideal, but Chick-fil-A or good salad. Can't go wrong with that. either way. And, it just kind of depends on, too, where I'm at. If I'm at the school or if I'm at the house, prior to the game, I'll typically try to eat, a little bit more healthy versus, kind of, being on the run and having to go out and grab something. So
I always like to have a sub sandwich on basketball game days. So like Jersey Mike's or Firehouse Subs. That'd be like my type of thing on the game day.
Typically when we are on our road trips, a lot of guys I try to stop where there's multiple options, and usually it's a stop where either there's at least a Subway around. A lot of the guys like that, Subway, Jimmy John's, Firehouse, those same places. So
But yeah, those are always good options. But favorite drink to consume? Well, just maybe in general, maybe your favorite drink.
Favorite drink is probably just some tea, man. Like some green tea. Keep it simple. Every now and then I'll do like an Americano with brown sugar. But I also drink a lot of water too. So a lot of my guys that always see me, usually I'll literally have a gallon of water. I'll try to get through, every day, and try to stay from the stuff, away from the stuff that are super high in sugars. I'm not like a health nut by any means, but I think just consuming obviously a lot of water and just some some tea or coffee every now and then is fine. So.
I think those are good ones. I for me probably. I'm either going to say lemonade or smoothies. I really like smoothies.
Smoothies. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're building a Smoothie King. I've seen over on Washington.
I did see that. Yeah,
I think so. I mean, I know when I was down in Georgia prior to coming here, me and Coach Alexander. I mean, we were going to Smoothie King every day. So I do miss the Smoothie King. I think the closest one is like at the time was like here it was over in like Middleton. Or something, but I'm glad they're building one over here in East Washington. So I definitely plan to start getting my points back. So
yeah, I think I'm going to check that place out, Smoothie King, once it's opened up. So on the east side there, off of East Washington. So maybe favorite place to eat restaurant-wise in the Madison area for you?
Favorite place to eat? Man, it would have to be. They're both Indian places, so I mean Swad in Monona, or I believe Maharani in Madison. Both Indian restaurants. My wife and I, our favorite foods are Indian food. So whatever typically those are two of the places that we'll find ourselves at. If it's up to our son, he's eating McDonald's. He's eating McDonald's, and that's kind of, or Pizza Hut. He's a big pizza guy. So, but yeah, if it's up to us, we're eating somewhere it's Indian food for sure.
Special occasion for me, I'm going to say Tornado Club Steakhouse, downtown Madison. I really like the steak there, and then I also really like Red Sushi downtown Madison. So
my wife eats sushi. I'm not a the sushi type of guy, and I know there's a lot of places here in Madison that although I've been here almost 3 years, I still haven't had a chance to explore and as much as I would like to. But in due time, I'll be able to check out some really some of the other neat places they have in Madison and the surrounding areas. So looking forward to it.
So those are a couple of my favorites in the area. So. Maybe favorite hobby of yours that's not sports related?
Favorite hobby of mine that's not sports related? Honestly, is spending time with my family. My son, he's, typically it's hard for them to make the games during the weekdays, so typically, weekend games, they're able to make, but, hanging out with him and, playing, his PlayStation 5 with him, or watching Minions, or some of the shows that he likes. So definitely spending time with family for sure. And just kind of for me, I still even outside of basketball, it's hard because it's kind of part of who I am.
Right.
So I'm always kind of looking at different drills and those sorts of things, and clinics and just trying to continue to, perfect my, my craft. But traveling as well, being able to, travel, when I have, the opportunity to, and, just kind of sightsee and, those sorts of things and stuff I always enjoy outside of, basketball. But definitely family, spending time with family, cooking, something I enjoy, as well, and grilling. I mean, even now in the winter, if it's, if I can get to the grill, I'll, and I can access it, and that's all that I need. So
That's almost, great answers. I like those answers a lot. For me, probably just spending time with my dogs. I really like that. I have 2 pugs at home, so it's fun. It's always fun spending some time with them.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, they're just like,
little companions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Favorite subject in school?
Favorite subject?
This is a tough one.
Man, when I was in school, probably language arts. I mean, reading, writing. I didn't have an issue, with that. Enjoyed writing, enjoyed reading. Obviously, everyone, math. I don't think some people it's not necessarily a strong suit. It wasn't my strong suit, but definitely any of sciences. I enjoyed sciences, for the most part as well. But definitely, reading and writing is something that kind of comes even now. It's just kind of natural, and I enjoy doing. So those were probably my favorite subjects. Even too, back when I was in high school. When I was in high school, we had photography and wood shop and metal shop. Those were actually some very fun classes with some of the things we were able to create and kind of build. And by no means am I the hands-on or kind of DIY type of guy, but back then, I mean, those experiences were fun, kind of during that time, being in high school. So
back when I was in high school, I really liked U.S. history. I just liked history about the United States, so that was for me one of my favorites. Last question here, so this will close it out here. Favorite song or type of music to listen to? Since I do a podcast, I have to finish with the song there, or type of music.
Man, my guys usually, my guys at practice, I mean, I try to listen to a little of everything. It just depends on the mood, the day, how I'm feeling. I mean, even now, I mean, if I'm, on my way to a game, I'm trying to, I'm getting my own self, in game mode, so, yeah, I mean, it varies, some hip hop, I can do some R&B, maybe some gospel. It just varies depending on the mood. But one thing, regardless of the music that I listen to, one thing is consistent is that there's definitely a quiet time spent in prayer, and there's always a devotional that I listen to, through an app, and just trying to process and really kind of focus on the task at hand, and just really being in the moment. I think sometimes it's life happens for us all, and I know for me, I try to preach to my guys, tell them to be in the moment, try to block everything that they may have experienced and going through, and focus on the task at hand. And this is your opportunity for this next 40 minutes or an hour and a half to kind of be with your brothers and focus on the game. And I try to make sure that as coaches, we practice what we preach, and in that regard. So, but music, I kind of listen to a little bit of everything. Just not, I can't do like the extreme, like super hard rock, but or hard country. But I'm not opposed to it. I listen to a little bit of everything. It just can't be like the heavy metal type of stuff. I don't, I'm not into that. That particular genre.
I like some of the old stuff, like Fleetwood Mac and the Eagles, and like Bruce Springsteen, that sort of music. I listen to that sort of stuff still.
I listen to a lot of, like the Temptations, and I'm a huge Sam Cooke fan, Marvin Gaye. I mean, a lot of that stuff my relatives grew up on, and I've kind of taken a liking to it, until this this day. And I think that's the real music that, you know, what you and I are talking about. That's the, you know, the real music. I think some of this music now, it has changed, but, you know, this generation is a lot different in terms of what their, you know, preferences and, you know, those sorts of things. And sometimes I'll ask them, you know, who such and such is. I'll get some of these odd looks, you know, because again, they just were either born or it's just not in their wheelhouse. So.
And John Mellencamp, I like John Mellencamp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just that type of music, that old style. I still listen. I still listen to that.
And, you know,
yeah.
It's kind of, you know, a lot of music too. You try to, you know, listen to stuff you can, you know, relate to, and you know, things like that. So I definitely, you know, respect that for sure.
Well, I think that covers everything today for Marc Madness Sports. So thank you so much, Coach Jason Roscoe, for joining Marc Madness Sports, talking basketball, talking about the Madison College Wolfpack men's basketball team here in 2024-2025. Be sure to try Coach Jason Roscoe's green tea. That's his favorite drink, so be sure to try that before the next Madison College Wolfpack men's basketball game. So I'm the host of Marc Madness Sports, Marc Carstens. Joined here with Jason Roscoe. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So long for now. Till next week for Marc Madness Sports. Good night, everybody.